Our last topic for this chapter is how much energy is in food. And the first question is, how much energy is in one Dorito? Not that anyone who likes Doritos can eat just one, because they're like extraordinarily addictive, and so you got to eat a bunch of them. But how much energy is in one Dorito? Now, it turns out it's a lot more than most people think it is. One Dorito contains about 15,000 calories. You're like, whoa, no way. The bag of Doritos doesn't say it contains 15,000 calories. I mean, there's got to be something wrong here. That 15,000 calories actually turns out is enough energy in this one Dorito. We're not talking a bag of Doritos. One Dorito is enough energy to heat up every bone in your body by 10 degrees Celsius. Okay? You take all the bones out of your body. You have to dry them out. Got to tell you, not that you really want to dry out your own bones, but if you took all the bones in your body, dried them out, you could heat up every bone in your body by 10 degrees Celsius with the energy in one Dorito. Food has amazing amounts of energy in it, which is why we use it to help us keep alive, because there's so much energy in food. But how can a Dorito have 15,000 calories when it says a little bag of Doritos only contains 140 calories? And that's that whole capital problem. Remember, one capital calorie was 1,000 little calories. So each Dorito is actually just 15 capital calories. Now, what we're going to talk about just really briefly is the calorie content of different types of things that we find in food. And food's primarily made up, in terms of caloric content, of fats, carbohydrates, and proteins. And they all have known calorie content. So it turns out if you've got carbs have a known fat content or calorie content of 4 calories per gram. So for every gram of carbs you have, you're going to get 4 nutritional calories, capital calories out of that. For fat, it's 9 calories per gram, which is why fat makes you fat, because it's got more than twice as much energy per gram as carbs. And then protein matches with carbs at 4 calories per gram. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to use this Doritos label up here to calculate how many calories are in Doritos and see how we do comparing our calorie count to their calorie count. Calories per gram, that looks very much like the energies we were getting from heat of sublimation, heat of fusion, things like that. And we're going to use them in the same way. To figure out total calories, we're just going to multiply by mass. So in that bag of Doritos, it said there were 8 grams of fat, 17 grams of carbs, 2 grams of protein. And so what we're going to try to do is we're going to try to find the total calorie count. And that's just going to be 17 grams of carbs times 4 calories per gram of carb plus 8 grams of fat times 9 capital calories per gram of fat plus 2 grams of protein times 4 calories per gram of protein. Multiply all that in your calculator, add them up, and what you end up with is 148 calories. Now, the bag way up here, if you can read it, says 140 calories. We calculate 148 calories. Who's lying? Someone trying not to tell the truth? And the answer is, we're lying, because we didn't do our sig figs right. These numbers only have 1 sig fig. Okay, so there's a lot of rounding errors in what we're doing. We're not going to worry about it. We're not going to try to fix our sig figs here. But there's a lot of rounding errors, and that's why we're getting a slightly different number. But it turns out you can use carbs, fat, and protein to calculate total calorie content of food. An interesting thing is, where do they get these calorie contents from? How do they figure out how many calories are in food? And what they use is a process called bomb calorimetry. Now, you never want to talk about that in an airport, but bomb calorimetry is a method where you take a sample that you're trying to find the calorie content of, you stick it inside a container that's inside a big bath of water. You burn it inside this container. So it's burning, burning, burning. As it burns, it produces heat. Where does that heat go? It goes into the water that's surrounding that. So what you do is you monitor the temperature of that water, and you use the heat equation, mass times specific heat times delta T, for the water. You say, hey, the water heated up by this many degrees. I had this much water, so I can say, oh, the water heated up by 100 joules. Well, if the water heated up by 100 joules of energy, where did it get that energy from? It got it from whatever you were burning inside there. And so we now know that whatever we were burning inside there had 100 joules of energy in it. And so that's the way that they actually determine caloric content of things. So that was our really quick introduction to calculating caloric content of food items. Thanks so much.